Welcome to another episode of the Planet Coaster series, and today I'm going to be spending some time working on the fall or autumn station. Unfortunately, I do have some bad news at the end of the episode, so stick around for that. But I started out by removing all of the paths that I've set up beforehand because I had more of an idea of what I wanted now than I did back then, so away with all the paths. That one was a pain in the butt. Here, I think, I was checking the scenery rating thing, and I was trying to figure out what the problem was, and, David has actually helped me figure out what that is. It's because the autumn one has the maze at the end of it, and so it actually has a ton of, decoration right near the front of it, whereas with the one in the fall, that's mostly building materials, and I don't think they give any boost, or their boost is very tiny opposed to using something out of the scenery tab. So I don't know how I'm gonna decorate that area to make it nicer. There is that little like loop. I guess I could build something up that looks cool there. Maybe like a Christmas tree and some presents? I don't know. There I was using the, it's like start build align to station or something along those lines. But it is in essence just, I'm trying to make it so it's lined up with the station, unlike my last build. Unfortunately I kind of wanted to adjust it a little bit. It was a bit too tall, so I did that, but then I ended up with some gaps because I also tried to scoot it over, and so there's actually gaps no matter what I do on either side of the station. But it's fine, as long as it's uniform, I don't care. I think it ends up being covered by, I put one of those like marble floor covers over it anyway, so I think that actually ends up kind of helping out with that situation. What I'm doing here is kind of deciding how to tackle the fact that the floor is purple, and it would be showing if I snapped my walls as I normally would, which would be right under it. It wasn't a problem with the gingerbread house because, one, it had that little bit of an overhang, so it looked okay, and secondly, it's all like the same color, and just it all works better together. But that overhang makes it so you don't get that weird mesh conflict between the two layers. But with this pack, that's not the case, and so there is that flickering that you get if you line them up too closely. So I commit to it for now. I actually do go back and change it. I leave the lower area where it is currently, and I take the walls down. I actually take out those floors entirely, mostly because I do have those marbles on top, like that marble floor cover on top, and so I could just remove those actual floors since I've placed those and got them all lined up. And because there's no one walking over in that area, it's not really a problem. So it ends up looking pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Here we're covering up that little foundation gap that we have. I do like that extra decorated walls that we have up in the middle. I couldn't decide whether I wanted it in the middle like that or if it should be the support foundation and then just like the solid wall, but it kind of mirrored how in the winter one they have that sticking out like door shape to add a little bit, so I kind of just decided to stick with it. Here I'm getting all our doors lined up, making sure everything's all set up as I want for the paths and such. Might as well get them done while it's easy to work with. Also, I put that door well too far into the ground for the people to walk through. So we went ahead and switched that out for a 1 meter tall piece of wall. Here I'm putting in the walls for around the path. Probably should have scoot those so that the white supports were showing, because they do end up showing on the other side. So I guess putting them on that side would have helped it make it look uniform. Ooh, speaking, real difficult some days. not my strong suit by any means. Here I had a lot of trouble getting down into this area to get them to snap like I wanted. And here I realized that I didn't need that fancy cutout bit, that the 2 meter fit just fine. It didn't clip or anything. So I'm gonna switch them out. I don't know if it's the same with the winter side. I'll probably have to go back and check that, because if I could make it so there's not that weird gap, I'd be super pleased. Could take out some of the weird ceiling work that I did and everything to hide that gap. Here I was putting the entrance back where I actually wanted it. I'm not in the right... There we go. Here I was trying to make sure that I got it out far enough so that the first square next to the train isn't angled like it is in the winter one. And going out that extra space before going down the stairs seems to have helped. Not 100% sure. Here we're going to be putting down in the stairs that lead up, like so. That one ended up being too long, and so it was either going to be through the wall or on one side or the other, so I actually end up having to move the entrance one more time, take out another one of the squares, which is funny because it ends up having it so that the entrance and the extra exit are like mirrored to each other. Do I leave? No, I don't. I had so much trouble. Like, it still is clipping through that wall, isn't it? Oh well. It's hard to get it to work that way. I guess I could go in with the grid snapping on and do that corner. That might be worth it. I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, are we gonna... That flooring is kind of a pain in the butt. That's like clipping through the top of the stairs right there. Oh, what I was doing right here is seeing that if I had the length to 2, if it would have put the stairs more towards the middle of that square so that it wasn't like clipping through the walls and so close to the one side, but it did not work, unfortunately, so we're just gonna deal with it for now. Here I'm putting in some sort of fence, which I wasn't able to really accomplish in the winter zone, but I do like the look of it in this. Excuse me. So we're getting... It's not a very big one, it's just it kind of separates the area and kind of finishes the look. I think this side ends up being a bit taller, but I didn't care enough to try to like scoot it down. Mostly because the train kind of blocks the view, so you'd have to really be paying attention to notice the height difference. For some reason I thought that says like the station door, but it certainly doesn't work for the station. Luckily, these arches do work for the station, so that was really nice. It looks very cool to have that arch, and it's similar to what we have in the winter area. What am I think I considered having the top area a different material, having it be the wood on the top, because that's kind of a style in some houses where the lower half is stone and the top half is wood. But I think I ended up deciding against it, mostly because I got tired of using that particular wall. And here I thought that if we were going to see these floors, they should be a similar color to the build, and so I was turning them all gray. This is kind of where I realized that there's a whole lot that aren't there because of those stairs. So yeah, I'm actually going to come back and get rid of that here in a minute. Mostly because the walls don't end up lining up. I do use these shop fronts as windows, even though it bothers me. They're very low windows, but they're better than nothing. There is a kit that does have some of those windows, and it's in like the sandstone castle, and I considered changing the colors so that it was the same colors and then using those, but the pattern is just so different I couldn't bring myself to do it, unfortunately. God, I hope that someday they just put in new windows just cuz. So yep, here's where I decided to go ahead with that change and get rid of those floors. I think it's because I realized that the marble goes right to where I want it to anyway, so So here's the slow process of selecting everything so that I can move it down one little notch and call it a day. But yeah, they couldn't walk on that area if I didn't have like those bars and everything, because they just fall through the ground, but it looks good. Even if it's not a legit ground for them to walk on. Why did I come over here? Oh, I guess I was just making sure I was on the same plan as I was over there. I knew that I needed to have a pillar over here, but all of the pillars that came with this pack are quite thin and small compared to the pillars that we ended up using over on the gingerbread house. So this is, I think, actually like a pillar base, and then you're supposed to have the smaller ones in and like through it and go up. But I just decided to go ahead and use these as the pillar themselves. And there was this really nice place where they would snap at the edge of the square so that it framed it, but for some reason I couldn't get this last one to do it, so I just completely removed it and gave it all the chance I could for it to snap to that. It ended up working out in the end. I don't know, this third one over here ended up at quite a different height for some reason from the rest, even though I was using the same snap points. We're gonna scoot it up to match the rest, and then I'm going to be duplicating them. I did consider putting in like the actual pillars like they were intended to be used, but it was just not as satisfying. You know, those were really big pillars over in the Christmas area, and it seemed more fitting for them to be this way than with the teeny tiny hole, I guess. Then we have just these little caps on top of them. At least it was easy to cap these ones off. Plus the long time I spent trying to figure out what I wanted for the winter side. Now we're going to be starting up onto the roof. That stupid spot back there it kept snapping to. I really wish sometimes that the snapping would, or the height would stick. Like on this side it goes fine. It stays where I chose and sticks there, but from this side on, I can't even get it to choose the spot I wanted it. There we go. But yeah, it was just, sometimes it works so well, and other times you have to adjust the height of every single one of them, like this side. Which is quite a pain, especially when you then decide that you need to get rid of the two end bits, because they don't have any way of putting a wall there. They just assume you're going to cap it off in a square shape opposed to just having the ends end. Like we have over on the winter side where the triangle ends up working. But that was a bit unfortunate. I do get rid of those. I was going to try to find a way to have the 2-meter angle mirror that shape in like the corners. But I'm going to be having those big towers on each of the corner, and I just figured that would work well enough to cover up this weird shape that I had to make. Also, real annoyed that either I'm real blind or they don't have a 2-meter angled crypt wall. Like, they have the 1 meter right there, but they don't have the 2. Like, that's all they have is like the 1 meter, I guess. Yeah, I don't know why they would do that. I guess I didn't expect you to use the normal roofing with it, perhaps. That's probably what it was. So here I'm trying to decide what to do with the towers. I kind of wanted them to be like a different texture than the rest of the build, but what I end up going with is really similar. It's just a little less green because the other ones were too different for me to really want to work with them. So it adds a little bit, but not like a huge noticeable amount. So I do like the support that I was able to use on the bottom of this tower. And I was happy to get to use this cool tower here. Though I needed to make sure the color was a little closer to what the rest of the roof is. Remove that little cap there because it just looked weird poking up through the roof. I did kind of want to add more detail to it, just like I could over on the winter side with the frosting decorations, but I just couldn't find anything that I wanted. Like, I do stick some kind of support looking. I don't use it as support, but it is what it's supposed to be. So it just gave a little more depth and shape to it so that it looked nicer. So that's what we're going to be doing here. I go to select this other side, this back wall, and for some reason it just duplicated the one I was, like, before I finished selecting, so I had to redo. Don't know what I did. I must have hit a wrong key for myself. But I think it looks really cool with these towers on the ends and everything. Just this whole overall shape is very nice. Here I was going in and adding some of the windows. Like I said, I was going to try to use this wall set, but I just couldn't bring myself to because the texture was so different. So shop walls it is. They'll just be real close to the ground. I guess if I had made a separate, no. The thing with the building items is you can't, like, flip them. Because if I had been able to put the windows, like, flip them so that the windows were closer to the ceiling, that would have been real nice, but I could not. Which was too bad. Here I'm trying to kind of decide how I want to add more to it. I did consider adding this bottom detail that we had on the other side, and then I realized that these wreaths were there. And I swear to God, I did not see those while I was building this place. Not once did I ever see these. So I don't know if their tagging was wrong, if I was just stopping before I ever got to them, but I saw those windows and stuff. I have no idea how I completely missed them. Be interesting to go back and look at my video and see if I do ever see them in my scroll, or if there was like a phantom update that I just didn't realize and they gave us these things. It makes sense that they're there. They're kind of like the same shape and everything as what we got in the, is that the spooky pack with the fall leaves? It's kind of like that, but with wreaths, and I love them. I just cannot believe I missed them for so freaking long. But yeah, I was trying to see if I could use any of these details on this castle build shape thing. This one definitely reminds me of like a cathedral, even more so than the gingerbread version. It's probably all of the pointy peaks that we have with this one. So I give up on that and decide that the only way I'm going to be able to really make this front look nice is by adding plants and shrubs and the like. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be putting out a lot of landscaping for the front of this area. And I think it ends up looking pretty cool. I've been sitting here hearing this sound behind me, like, what is that sound? I just realized that it is raining or snowing sideways and it's beating against my window. No wonder it was weirding me out, because I kept thinking like a cat was sitting behind me and like licking itself or something. I don't know, but it's not. It's some snow or rain or some kind of stormy stuff. I have to sneeze so bad and it's just sitting at the edge of my nose. Did you guys hate that? It's like the worst. So I put in some rocks around this tree after getting some of the same plants that I've used around the autumn side of the park. And then I'm going to start terrain paint, mostly because it's just so green, and I think throughout the autumn area I've been adding some of this dirt color to kind of make it look less lively, I guess, just because it is supposed to be the end of the year as everything's going down for the winter, you know? Oh my god, the sneeze. If I could just do it and be done, that'd be nice. So here I'm pulling some of the surrounding forest from the other sides and the other rides, to try to tie this in a little bit into the area. Is that whole wall gone? I think it might be. I don't know if I put in one of the windows on the back there. Is it going to turn a little bit more so I could see it? I almost guarantee that is just like a hole. Oh, that's too bad. Yep, look at that. There it is. And I even looked at it and didn't do anything about it. I guess here I am checking out all of the thoughts again. I'm going to go back over here and be like, what is happening? But now I know. I actually got the notification from David while I was in the process of recording this. And here's for the bad news. That crashed my game. It's all gone. All of this.